What is methylation cycle? I did mention quite a lot of times in my past videos, and methylation is involved in many of our body's biological processes. In this video, I'm going to discuss the main functions of methylation, how a disturbed and poor methylation cycle can affect you, and if you stay till the last, I will go over some of the ways that you can help to support your pathways. Methylation is the addition of a methyl group to a molecule, and this step can turn on and off genes. And genes usually but not always produces enzymes that catalyze biochemical reactions. And methylation cycle is a series of reactions that facilitate this transfer. For example, in order to methylate homocysteine, it needs methionine synthase enzymes together with metafolate and meta-B12 to convert into meta-homocysteine, which is also known as methionine. And if you proceed further, it needs to go through another enzymes to produce SAMe. And SAMe is the major meta donor, particularly in these transmethylation reactions. So what are some of the important functions of methylation? Not only does methylation turns on and off genes, it also helps to process chemicals that our body produces naturally, such as your hydrogen peroxides, hydrogen sulfides, and ammonia. It also helps to get rid of xenobiotic compounds, such as your pesticide, industrial pollutants, and chemicals. It also helps to process intracellular histamine through the enzyme HNMT, alongside with two other enzymes. Whereas DAO enzyme, diamine oxidase, deals with histamine outside of the cells, which is our food and drink we consume and our microbiome. Methylation also helps to build neurotransmitters. These are the enzymes such as your PEMT, which converts norepinephrine to epinephrine, and also ASMT, which converts serotonin into melatonin. Therefore, when methylation is affected, it will directly affect your mood stability and sleep quality. Methylation also helps to metabolize used up neurotransmitters, which is your dopamine, epinephrine, and norepinephrine. When neurotransmitter is being produced, transported, and activated, it needs to be reabsorbed or metabolized out of your synaptic cleft. This is to prevent excess neurotransmitter floating in your system, which can potentially cause you anxious, irritability, and this wired and tired feeling. Metabolism of this neurotransmitter can be done via the COMT enzyme. It helps to get rid of them through your urine. And this can be tested using functional labs such as your organic acid. COMT also helps to metabolize hydroxylated estrogen metabolites into a less harmful compound, particularly these two estrogen, which is also referred to as phase 2 detoxification. These metabolites gets modified by adding a methyl group to make them more water soluble and easier to excrete out of your system. If there is excess estrogen due to a dirty or reduced activity of the COMT enzyme, it can also increase the risk of DNA damage. And bear in mind that both estrogen and neurotransmitters, which I mentioned earlier, share this same enzyme. Methylation also helps in the production of creatine via GAMT enzyme and ATP via AHCY gene, which provides instructions to create enzymes to break down S-adenosine homocysteine into homocysteine and adenosine. The breakdown of SAR is to prevent the feedback inhibitory effects of methyltransferases and allow the methylation cycle to spin. DNA methylation, which also involves in the transfer of a methyl group from SAM to cytosine bases within DNA, this can affect the gene expression of the DNA. One of the most important functions of methylation is the production of your phosphatidylcholine via the PEMT enzyme, which is the major component of your phospholipids for your cell membranes and your bile productions. It can definitely impact all cells in our body because all our cells contains this phospholipid membrane. As for your bile, it can help you to break down large globules of food particles and helps you to absorb fat-soluble nutrients. And bile also have these anti-parasitic properties which can help to eliminate toxins to your body. Methylation also helps in the production of your protective coating on your nerves by regulating and maintaining the myelin shelf integrity. Both of these are very important because they can impact almost all our functions in our body. For example, if a cell membrane is leaky, ions and molecules can enter and exit uncontrollably. Calcium imbalances may further impact mitochondrial function to produce less ATP. And when the degree of damage can't be repaired, the cell may die through apoptosis or necrosis. Methylation can be easily disturbed by various mechanisms. When your methylation cycle does not have the cofactors that it needs to run, your pathway becomes slower. And this is usually due to a poor diet or poor absorption. It can be either from acid reflux or gut dysbiosis, whereby the bacteria inside your gut is competing the nutrients from you. It can also be affected by someone's diet having a poor macronutrient ratio, such as your low protein or low fat. Or maybe he or she is eating food which contains a lot of anti-nutrients. Medications like antacids, metformin, and methotrexate can indirectly slow down the activity of certain enzymes. Stress and environmental toxicity, such as your heavy metals, your chemicals, or your pollutants, all these can cause to use up your nutrients faster and cause deficiency. Your autonomic nervous system and your mental state can also disturb methylation, which is why someone who is constantly on this sympathetic nervous state, they can't digest well. When they can't digest well, they do not have the cofactors the body needs to require to run the system. Supplementing too much of these end products, such as your SAMe, may cause these feedback inhibitions that tells your body to stop producing them. Then in the long run, the body do not produce them, the gene becomes sluggish. Too much synthetic folic acid or antibodies can affect the receptor sites to prevent absorptions of the folate we want in our body. The absence or deficiency of carrier protein can further disrupt the transportations of essential nutrients, waste products, and signaling molecules into and out of the cells. Yes, methylation can be largely due to the polymorphism, the genes you're born with, but remember that your genes load the gun and the environment pulls the trigger. So if you stay till now, I will go over some of the ways that you can actually support your pathway using this D.R.E.S.S protocol. Under the D.R.E.S.S protocol, D stands for diet. As always, I recommend you to remove what you can first before adding in new stuff. So remove food that contains a lot of this wheat, soy, corn, and vegetable seed oils. Remove ultra-processed food and foods that are heavily sprayed with pesticides or fortified with folic acids. Once this is done, you will try to adding new stuff. Eating a nutrient dense, increase your protein intake, and try to reduce your carbs and food intake for the time being because you do not want to load your body with tons of sugar. Then the R stands for rest. You have to get adequate rest to let your body to repair and recuperate. If you have sleep issues, you may want to try to stimulate your vagus nerve to make you more relaxed. This can be easy as humming or gargling with water. Create a habit of using less screen time. Okay, maybe you can stop using your computer, your laptop 1 hour just before your sleep time. And if you're someone very sensitive to all these EMF radiations or radio frequency, you may want to switch off your router and put your phone into an airplane mode. The E stands for exercise. Exercise moderately and do not over-exercise because if you are over-exercising, you create more stress on your body, which can then cascade to other issues. And remember, if you want to do some exercise, you can also do some basic activities like movement, just to make sure that you're moving your body and not sitting in a chair all day long. And one last thing is because when you exercise, you need extra nutrients for repairing. So you may want to consume slightly more protein or slightly more fat to help your body to deal with the exercise, the stress you are dealing on. The D.R.E.S.S first S is stress reductions. You can always put this into your top priority. The stress can be coming from your food or your environment. So if you sense some stress, try to reduce them or avoid them as much as you can. This can be your posture, sitting posture, or the food you're eating. And if you're outside in the environment, the pollutants and exhaust fumes, all these can create stress to your body. When you have a lot of all this stress, a lot of your nutrients are used up to excrete them out of your body. And a lot of them are being used up to create antioxidants. So when you are depleting of all these nutrients, your methylations can't run very smoothly. The last S is actually supplements. I do not recommend using supplements as a first route. Supplements is only used as a supplement and additional, or maybe the situation you're going on. Let's say if you're going for examinations or maybe a presentation or going something of very stressful events, then you supplement what is needed for your body to handle that situation on that day. And if you are not going through all these, let's say if you're on a holiday, then you do not need all these supplements. Okay, we have come to the end of this video. Remember that you can be born with perfectly fine genes without any polymorphism. What's most important is the epigenetics, the environment. The air you breathe, the water you drink, or the food you eat can potentially damage or dirty your genes. If you have not watched the video on how anti-nutrients can affect your absorptions, do remember to click here.